Hello everyone, welcome back. We are talking about Dominaria United and the new Pauper cards. Uh, I'm not expecting anything relevant from the expansion besides two cards that are so strong that maybe they will be more impactful than we may think initially. So let's start with the white color, and well, why not talk also about the Dominaria United mechanics in this set? So we have the return of Kicker, the return of Domain, and we have a new mechanic which is Unlist. Unlist is kind of similar to the really old band mechanic. So when you attack with a creature with Unlist on it, you can tap whatever amount of non-attacking creature that does have summoning sickness, so you must play those creatures at least one turn earlier than you want to enlist. And when you tap those creatures, they give their power on the only attacking creature. From a point of view, enlist is good only in limited. I also was expecting, or I wanted something good with Enlist because the mechanic could be eventually good if we stick a sort of engine on Enlist, but at common level, common rarity, we didn't really get anything relevant with Enlist, so I think that we can skip altogether all the Enlist card from this set expansion. Talking about Kicker, whenever you cast the spell with Kicker, you can pay the Kicker additional cost and give an additional effect on your card. The mechanic is very powerful, but at common rarity from this set, we aren't really getting anything relevant. We have a lot of good cards with Kicker in Pauper, such as Vice of Lessons, for example, but from this set, from Dominaria United, we didn't get anything at the same power level of the keycard spell already existing in Pauper. And then finally, Domain. Domain is kind of tricky at common because it's difficult to give a powerful effect on Domain, on commons with Domain, and we didn't really get anything relevant at common rarity regarding Domain as well. So if all the set main mechanics didn't give to Pauper anything relevant, what is left? A bunch of medium power level cards, basically. Well, first we have Banal Sleeper, which is a card with Kicker, but it's just a functional reprint of Flashback Marauder. If you remember correctly, I was playing Flashback Marauder in Urza 33 Existence, so we can say that Banal Sleeper is kind of a little improvement of Flashback Marauder in Urza 33 Existence, but from my point of view, is just nothing relevant. For the simple reason that Flashback Marauder costs 2 colorless and Penalized Sleeper costs only 1 colorless in a deck that is running at the last 4 copies of the Basilisk Gate as colorless land. I guess you can in certain matchups want to play Penalized Sleeper as channel blocker. In example, if your opponent is playing a Swarm deck, Bully maybe, or if your opponent as Ninja and other tools on the battlefield, but still against fairies, I fear that Spellstutter Sprite can counter to match easily Banalish Sleeper since it costs only 2 mana instead of 3. Anyway, card just give more flexibility to Flashback Marauder, and can also be cool in the Pestilence, the mid-range deck, I mean, because you can bring it back with Omen of the Dead or History Square, which are cards already playing in the deck, and why not try Banana Sleeper as a removal spell that you can return from your graveyard? I mean, certain ways can be also better compared to Chain Arctic because you know Chain's Edict, when you cast it from your hand, costs 2 mana, but when you want to flashback it, you are paying an additional cost of 7 mana. But if you bring the Phyrexian Soldier back with Omen of the Dead, it still costs only 3 mana, so your stable flashback costs only 4 mana, so you are discounting something like 3 mana. Yeah, it's not pure advantage by that way, but it's still better than nothing in certain matchups, in example against Mono Red Blitz. Then we have a card that I think that we can easily main deck in a certain decks, which is Destroy Evil. I kind of like Destroy Evil as is a spell with more than one effect, and can provide effects that usually don't have in white. So basically being able to destroy creatures that are too much big, yeah, because white, beside Jordan doesn't really have good removal spells. Yes, there's Sunlance, which deals only 3 damage, and is a sorcery spell, and you can target white creature, so Sunlance is truly bad. Well, Destroy from my point of view, can be awesome against Affinity, in example, because you can destroy Mirror Enforcer, and you can also destroy Makeshift Munitions. So, for that reason, I think I'd like to try Destroy Evil in Order Pestilence and ENG's favorite instead of Dawnbringer Cleric. I found Dawnbringer Cleric awesome as a way to destroy enchantments, but truly weak when it comes to the other effect. Yeah, 2 lives can be kind of good against 4 certain times, and exiling 1 card from your opponent deck doesn't really happen too much, and it's good only with Ephemerate, so for that reason I think that Destroy Evil could be kind of better. At least you can kill Gurmag Angler, or a Gear Seeker Serpent, or an Living Scratcher. I think that we said everything about the white cards in this set, so we skip to the blue color, and there's Academy Wall. I don't think that Academy Wall is good. Yeah, looping 1 extra card per turn is of course good, but probably this card is just good only in draft. We have way better ways to draw this card. An example, Fatalist Looting, and Academy Wall requires to cast 1 spell, so it's not a free looting effect. It's still required to pay mana to cast an instant or sorcery spell, and also you need to cast a spell, and finally you can play, or rather you can activate that ability only 1 time per turn. I think that there's anything... oh no, yeah. We have a little card that will be impactful in Pauper, which is Clarion Terror. Yeah, actually, Clarion Terror is probably the most impactful card in this set, and of course, we should compare it to Gurmag Angler. So, from my point of view, Clarion Terror is just Gurmag Angler for non-black first decks, but you can also play it in blue-black decks, in example, Dimir Delver. So when I saw Clarion Terror, I thought of 2 possible approaches. The first one is first with Clarion Terror over Moonblade Shinobi, and the second one, Dimir Delver with 8 copies of Gurmag Angler and 8 copies of Clarion Terror, because Dimir Delver is way more aggressive compared to Furious, and it always lacked another good beat down card, especially since Delver of Seekers isn't really great anymore in Pauper right now. Well, you can still play Delver of Seekers because sometimes you can blind flip a Delver on turn 2 and also force your opponent to have enough answers, but Leaving only Angler and Telvar Secrets doesn't really give enough pressure to that deck. So for that reason, I'd like to try something like 4 Delvers, 4 Terrors, and 4 Gangler, and maybe add cards like Mental Note or Cat Score to the deck, because Thunderstorm plus Mental Note is still great in Pauper, because you are able to flip your Delver at instant speed, and you can also put in your graveyard the card that you don't want, and you can fill your graveyard with spells or non-spells cards that can be exiled with Gangler, and eventually discount the cost of Iron Terror. Iron Terror, as I already said, I think that is good in the pairs, and I tried the pairs with Iron Terror. Well, whenever I was able to play Trident Terror was just great. But as a blocker and an attacker, you can also attack with Trident Terror and play your Ninja of the powers on Trident Terror, Return Terror, and play it by paying only 1 mana, which is great. Is pretty similar to Fairseer in that way. Well, you don't try to, but being a creature really big means that you can eventually gives a certain kind of unblockable to the creature, because your opponent is not gonna blocking Iron Terror if they can't kill it, and for that reason Iron Terror is also flexible. So it's great as a proper card, and probably will be a proper staple in no times. I think that in black we didn't really get anything relevant, right? There's our print of Phyrexian Rager. There's Phyrexian Vivisector, which I really like, but I think that it doesn't have the right power level for Pauper. First, it does only Scry 1, and we already have a similar card to Phyrexian Vivisector in Pauper, which is a 3/2 that costs 3 mana, which is worse for its effect, but there's no real deck in Pauper that want this kind of payoff for a sacrifice deck. Okay, you can sacrifice a creature with Carrion Feeder and Scry 1, which is kind of good, but probably not enough. We have better ways to get any kind of advantage on the game besides Scry 1 on this kind of ability. Oh yeah, we should talk about writing Necromas and Urborg or Repossession. A lot of people like writing Necromas, apparently, but I don't really see anything good about this card, for the simple reason that you aren't discounting its cost with spells that likely go to the graveyard, like instant or sorcery spells that discount the Tolarian Terror mana cost. So all you need to play something like Golgari Dredge or Tortured Existence, or you are playing something like Mono-Black Zombie or Mono-Black Sacrifice. So for that reason, seems kind of worse compared to Gurmag Angler. Okay, you are giving it that touch and you aren't exiling creatures or anything, but seems still slow compared to Gurmag Angler. For that reason, I think that writing Necromas is not good in the current Pauper. Maybe if we get something like the Manala Stretch creatures, we will able to play writing Necromas, because you can stretch your whole deck, then play writing Necromas or Gurmag Angler or whatever with only 1 mana. But writing Necromas, from my point of view, is not good enough for Pauper. Urborg Repossession, on the other end, is good as a card advantage card, but in the current Pauper, probably is not good enough. Probably this card was printed too late, because if it was printed something like 4 years ago, the card would be eventually be playable in some Gulgari mid-range deck, but right now is just a worse version of Deadly Dispute or whatever black card advantage spell, because Pulse of Murasa isn't seeing play anymore, so why should play Uber Repossession when I can play better card advantage compared to it? You can also get more life with Ragnaros player games, so that's just mind-blowing. How much the power creep or whatever it is when you compare those two cards, that's just awesome. In red, we have another card that, from my point of view, will be playable in Pauper and will be also a staple. Hito Amplifier. Hito Amplifier is just Festival Crusher with lower toughness. And as I already said, Moral Blades is lacking in the amount of creatures. Most Moral Blade lists plays only 12 creatures, and isn't the right choice. I tried Monorail Blitz with Burning Prophet, and Burning Prophet was really great, thanks to this Scry one most times. But, you know, if your creature gets +2/+0 instead of +1/+0, you don't really need Scry 1, because you can just play the less spell and still be lethal. So, Festival Crusher was a great addition, and basically the Festival Crusher print was the reason why Monorod Blades started to be competitive. Then they printed Monastery's Whisper, which is a great addition because it's just great as a card, has a really great power level. Then we have Hito Amplifier. So I'm expecting Monored Blades to play something like 14 creatures. Probably the right amount of creatures in Monored Blade is between 14 and 16, so maybe 14 or 15 creatures. Monored Blades will be the new tier 1 deck in Pauper, and having Monored Blades as best aggressive deck in Paupers means that black decks are or blue deck are getting a huge advantage on the metagame because they could be the best decks to beat mono red blades, and having mono red blades as a aggro deck that can kill you on turn 3 maybe would be shift the metagame more towards cheap converted mana cost removal spells, example Snap Out or Generous Edict, or even Innocent Blood, because Innocent Blood is 1 mana to kill creatures. So Mono Red Blades will be still great after this expansion will be legal in Pauper. There's nothing else left in red, I guess, because there's not. Oh, well, there's Smash to Dust. Smash to Dust is in kind of certain ways similar to the Dawnbringer Cleric, a model spell which do something that not often is relevant, but is still similar to Electric. So for that reason, I think the card will see play as one of in the main deck of blue-red control-ish style decks. An example is at Furious. You know, when the metagame will be filled with Affinity and Furious, having a Smash Dust in your main deck will be very great because you can kill Blood Fountain or Mirror Forcer, you can destroy all your opponent's Furious, which is great. Yeah, it's a sorcery speed spell, but you know, you can't expect too much from something that can do 3 different effects. In green, there's nothing much relevant. There's Floriproo's Blind Wall, which is similar to the gates 0-2 creatures that tutor a gate or tap it or a basic land, but this one doesn't tutor anything. It's just look at the top 6 cards of your library and put only only lands in your hand, so is nothing much. Is kind of reasonable. I think that wall that tutor gates is way better. There's nothing much left in green that I really like. In multicolor, there's no Kelmont in this expansion. And then we have colorless cards. In colorless, I think we only have Shield Wall Sentinel, which is a tutor for defender creatures. And beside walls combo, I can't think of any walls relevant in Pauper. And then we have Crystal Grotto and the non-snow common tapped dual lands with the basic types. They also printed the Scryland, the Pin land, and it's really a shame that the Pin lands are still rare. I truly wanted them as common but probably Wizards just don't want to print untapped dual lands for, I guess, only limited purposes. Crystal Grotto is not anything relevant for Pauper, I guess. Try one on a field land could be good in Flicker Charm because you can flicker the Crystal Grotto to get good enough payoff, but besides that is nothing relevant. Okay guys, we'll finally finish up this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week with a couple uploads on my YouTube channel, but only in Italian. I recorded a couple match in the new no banned list Pauper event, and also a really bad luck in this series of video where I record for one decks. And I think that starting from next week, so starting from Monday 29th, I'll start streaming again on Twitch. See ya!